video, I'll be looking at how you can shoot low-key shots in a small home studio.
Adorama TV presents Take and Make Great Photography with Gavin Hoey.
Hello, I'm Gavin Hoey and you're watching Adorama TV, brought to you by Adorama, the camera store that has everything for us photographers, and this video is all about low-key lighting. Now, low-key shots are those where there is a large proportion of really dark tones in the image. But don't be fooled into thinking that means you're underexposing. You still want to have some highlights in there as well to show a full range of tones. It's just the vast majority are going to be at the dark end of the scale. Now, shooting low-key in a small studio is a great idea because you can do it with a single softbox or a single speed light. You can add in more lights if you like, but simplicity is the key. A great low-key shot will have a dark black or grey background and plenty of contrast in the shots too. Small studios really lend themselves to this style of photography. Okay, let's get a model in, set some lights up and take some pictures. So once again, I'm joined in this studio by Fern, who's going to be the model for this low-key shoot. Now, I've set my softbox up in a fairly standard position, 45 degrees from the model. It's metered out at f8, and Fern is stood against a black background. For low-key shots, if you want a black or dark background, you can pretty much get away with anything, material, paper, or a pop-up background like this. And in a small studio, black is a really good choice. However, if you've got a grey background, check out my previous video on the Adorama Learning Centre where I talk about how to make grey go black. Okay, let's take a picture like this, see how it comes out. Marvellous. Okay, superb. And that works really well. We get some fantastic low-key shots, lots of lovely dark black backgrounds, but still detail in the highlights. However, if I want this to be even more low-key, there's a simple trick I can do. I can add more shadows to the shot. And I can do that by either moving the light further back, and well, that's not really possible because I'd go through the wall. The simple answer is to ask Fern to step a little bit further forward. So if you can take a little step forward. So now the light is in a different angle, which means I need to rotate it around, of course, otherwise it would completely miss our model. But if I take a shot like this, watch what happens to the light when Fern is looking at the camera. Here we go, Fern. As you can see, it doesn't really work because, of course, the light is coming almost from behind. End result is I'm not getting any light on the face. The solution is really simple. I just ask Fern to look towards the light. Okay, Fern, do you want to turn? Yeah, that's a go whole profile shot. That's really good. Just turn it a little towards me. That's it. Excellent. As you can see, those pictures look fantastic with lovely contrasty light. There's still highlight detail on the face, but also some shadows. And in black and white, it still looks amazing. Now, if you're wondering, where did the softbox go? Because it's really close to Fern, and yet it's not in the pictures. Well, there's a little Photoshop trick that I'm going to show you at the end of this video. So once you've worked out a basic lighting idea, why not take it a stage further? And there's many ways you can do it. One of the simplest is just by including a prop into the scene. So props come in all sorts of sizes and shapes. For this one, it's going to be a really simple prop. I'm just going to use a bit of material. Now, I'm going to talk about props in a later video in this little series, but for now, just take my advice. Invest in some material. It really is one of the most useful things you can have around your studio. So Fern, I'm going to ask you to use this as a sort of a headpiece really. So if I give you that, marvellous. Now I need to take a meter reading for this because I've moved my light to the other side. So let's get the flash meter, pop it underneath Fern's chin, point it back at the light. You're always going to meter towards the light you want to know the strength of. F8, that's perfect. Let's take a shot like that and see what we get. I'm going to let you do that. Chin up slightly if you can. There we go. that's a really simple prop, but boy does it make a massive difference to the look and the feel of the shot, and a little bit of red is always a good thing. With low-key lighting, you don't necessarily need expensive equipment. You can use a single bare speedlight. Now normally bare speedlights are going to give harsh shadows, but in low-key lighting, well, harsh shadows can often work really well. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish with a simple speedlight on its own and just take a shot of Fern sat down against my little textured wall here. So let's get this over to the side, because I want the lighting to come in at an angle to rake the light across the background and to hit Fern in the face with some nice contrasty light. Now that means I'm going to have to figure out where this is going to go, so I'll start there, but I may find I have to move my light around as we take some test shots. Now, as always, if you move the light, you need to meter the light. So let's get the flash meter. We'll pop it underneath Fern's chin, again, pointing the little dome back at the flash you want to meter. And I'm getting f9. Now, I want to keep shooting at f8, so I'm just going to drop the power ever so slightly. And I'm back to f8. Okay, so let's turn and take some pictures of Fern looking off to the side. Here we go. So those work well, but the direction of light is quite general. Now at the moment this flash is set on its 24mm wide angle zoom. Now if I was to zoom the flash in, I would get a tighter beam of light with darker top and bottom. But if I really want to exaggerate that to its maximum, I'm going to use a snoot. Now this is the little Magmod rubber snoot. I'm actually going to use it closed all the way down, which gives about a 40-degree angle of light, and that just pops onto the front of the speedlight like that. Okay, now I need to put my meter in the light itself, and I'm getting f4.5, so it's taken away quite a lot of light. Fortunately, I can increase the light here, remeter, and get back to f8. Okay, let's take some shots like that. Everything below your knees is in complete shadow. Put your hands behind you and lean into the shot. So there you go. By having the speed light and very directional angle to the light, we got some really great and dramatic low-key shots. Okay, let's get one of the pictures into Photoshop and do a little bit of fine-tuning there. And we're going to do that right now.
Shooting with a small softbox means that if you want soft lighting, you've got to get it nice and close. That makes it relatively bigger and therefore softer. Trouble is, that means it's more likely to be in your shot. Add to that the fact that shooting in RAW means that sometimes your blacks aren't quite as black as you thought they would be, and I've got two problems to solve here in Adobe Camera Raw. Fortunately, they're nice and simple and use a very similar method. So first of all, let's deal with the blacks. I'm going to come to the little arrow in the top left corner of my histogram and click on it to turn on my clipping warning for shadows. Now I'm going to come down to the blacks slider, move it across to the left, and as I go to the left, you see I'm getting this sort of warning area saying, yep, this blue area here is actually pure black. And I can see that by looking at the RGB here as I move my cursor across. 00 means black, anything else means, well, not black. And you can see that's great until I get here where I've got a little bit of colour coming in, but then I've got this large softbox to remove, so I'm going to deal with that bit in one go. Now I'm going to use one of the local adjustments, and you could use either the adjustment brush. I'm going to use the graduated filter, and what I'm going to do is just drag out a graduated filter over that area. Now once I've dragged that across, I can move my sliders here because I want to reduce the exposure all the way down -4. Then I'm going to reduce the highlights all the way down to whatever they need to be, and as I do, you can see I've lost all the detail here. That means I now have pure black over this whole area. I've completely removed that from my shot. Now, if the softbox was still visible, if there was any other little bits, I could also remove whites and blacks. That'll get me all the way down. And of course, I can put multiple either brushes or graduated filters until that area is gone. But when I go back to my usual view, there is no softbox anymore. It's completely disappeared simply by making it really, really dark using the local adjustment tools.
I always love shooting low-key images in my studio. It's so simple but so effective. Now, if you want more tips on shooting in a small studio space, or you want to see the rest of the amazing videos from the fantastic presenters right here on Adorama TV, you know what you've got to be doing? You've got to be clicking on that subscribe button. I'm Gavin Hoey. Thanks for watching.